Okay, in this video, we're going to be talking about the Unit 1 Quiz 1 review. So hopefully you're following along. So let's go ahead and get started. Question number 1 says, John experimented at school one day and he was able to fit 50 people in a 15 by 15 foot square. All right, so this right here is going to be an example of people over space. All right, so in the past week, we've been talking about creating proportions, and that's what we'll be doing. And I always like to put people over space to start off with. So if you notice, the very first sentence, 50 people in that space. So 50 over 15 by 15 is 225 is equal to, let's keep reading, using this ratio, how many people, that's what we're looking for, that'll be my x, can fit in a 200 by 200. So that'll be x over, let's see, that would be 40,000. And so when I cross multiply, so if you remember, I'm going to multiply 225 times x, and I'll get 225. 225x is equal to 50 times 40,000. And that looks to be 2 million. All right, so here I'm just going to divide by 225. And I believe I'm going to get a decimal, but I'm just going to round to the nearest whole. My answer, x, will be 8,889 people. Okay. Now, question number 2, very similar to question number 1, is another people over space. So people over space. 10 people, 5 times 5, so 10 over, that would be 25, is equal to x over, I believe that's going to be 9,000. Now at this point, since it's very similar to what we just did, I'm just going to speed up a little bit. 25x is equal to, I believe it's going to be 90,000. Divide that by 25. X is going to equal 360 people. All right, so 360 people. Right there. All right, so question number 3A. All right, this is what we did yesterday. This is solve in terms of E. Notice in our second question, it says Dave experimented and he was able to fit 10 people. That was an exact number, all right, 10 people. Now we don't have the number of people. So we're still going to use the people over space, but we have to use E. So it'll be E over the square, which is 25, is equal to x over 300 by 300. That'll be 90,000. So when I cross multiply, it'll become 25x is equal to 90,000. Now we're timesing it by E. Now just in case if you need a visual, I should have done this before. 25x, 90,000 E. So we're going to divide by 25. And so our answer is going to be 3,600 E. Now remember, your answer is going to have an E in it because we don't know how many people can fit into the square. Remember, question number 2, we knew exactly 10 people could fit. Question number 3, not. All right, so 3B, it says Peter was able to fit 11 people in the square. So now we know exactly how many people can fit in the square. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can look at this. Since you know it's now 11 people, you can technically set up your proportion again. So it'd be 11 over 25 is equal to x over 90,000. You could go that route, but I say go the easier route and take 11 people and plug it in for E. That's the easiest thing. So rather than doing a proportion, all you have to do is, let's see, 3,600. We're going to times that by 11, and my answer ends up being 39,600 people. All right, that's what I would do. Either way is going to get you there, but if you just want the easiest way, I just take how many people Peter was able to fit into and just plug it in for E. All right, for 2A, or I'm sorry, 4A, same exact question. We don't know how many people can fit in the square, so we're going to set it up as E over 9. Remember, it's a people over space, is equal to x over 2,500. When we cross multiply, that'll give me 9x is equal to 2500 E, divide by 9. Now, I'm going to get I believe I'm going to get a decimal here, so I'm just going to round to the nearest whole, 278E. There's my answer. Okay, now the next question, again, same exact thing. Peter was able to fit 3 people in the 3 by 3 square. Again, if you want a separate proportion, you can. I'm just going to take 3, plug it in for E. So that will look like, I'll write this in red to stand out, 278 times 3, and that gives me 834 people. Now, question number 5 is a little tricky because the way it's worded might throw you off. It says, you're an event planner at an annual harvest festival, will be next month. You are in charge of packing a venue, and you are estimating each person attending will need 3.5 square feet. All right, so this is another people over space, but there's 2 parts to this. The first part deals with how many people can fit in this space. That's the first part of it. And then the second part is a yes/no question, which means, will this space be able to fit 7,000 people? So make sure you read this carefully, because what a lot of people are going to want to do is take 7,000 and just plug it somewhere in the equation or in the proportion. We don't want that. So when we read, it says, you're estimating that each person, which is 1, that's single, will be needing 3.5 square feet. All right, so that will be a 1 over 3.5 square feet. All right, so 1 over 3.5 is equal to X over 250 times 150, which when I do the math gives me 37,500. Now when I cross multiply, I get 3.5x is equal to 37,500. When I divide, it gives me 3.5. So x is equal to 10,714 people. Now here's the question, and that is, now that you've gotten your answer, will 7,000 people fit? Now, this is where a lot of people just kind of screw up a little bit. This space right here can fit 10,000 people. So 10,400 would be the max. You only need to fit 7,000 people. So the question is, can 7,000 people fit in a space that has a max of 10,714? The answer is yes. Yes, it can. All right, question number 6. These are some basic proportion questions. And so for 6, I guess that would be 6A. I took a trip to Mexico. It's going to be a pesos over dollars. I'm just going to put dollars over pesos. Why? Something has to go first. So I'll set up the proportion as 530 over 11.1 is equal to x over 42.7. And then cross multiply and solve. You get 2040. There's your answer. The currency in Argentina. All right, so again, this is another pesos dollar exchange. So I'm just going to put, again, dollars over pesos. So that'll be a 3 to 1 is equal to 121.10 over x. Cross multiply and solve. You get 4036. Mary, what is the new height if it was originally 32 inches and wide? It's going to be width over height because it's how tall something is and how wide it is. Something's got to go first. I'm just going to put width. So 42.9 over 32.5 is equal to 3.3 over x. Cross multiply and solve. X is equal to 2.5 inches. For D, looks like we have cabbage over dollars. So cabbage over dollars. All right, so I'm just going to put cabbage over dollars. Again, why? Because I wanted to. All right, so she can buy 2 heads of cabbage for $1.80. So 2 over 180, or $1.80, is equal to x over 28.80. Cross multiply and solve. 32 heads of cabbage. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. All right, now question number 7 this is where things get a little tricky because we're talking about a parade now. And we talked about this yesterday, and some folks were getting confused. All right, so first off, you have a parade that has basically four parts to it, four phases. So in the very first part, it lasts for 5 minutes, and 200 people are walking by you per minute. So how many people walk by you in 5 minutes? Well, the total is going to be 1,000, 1,000 people. Okay. Now, this is where people screw up, and let me kind of clean this up a little bit. And it says this rate decreases by 40%. Now, it is not the total. Do not touch the total. Okay. It is going to be this 200. This is the rate. All right. So you are going to take, so I'm going to write this off to the side here. You are going to take 200 and you are going to decrease it by 40%. Okay? Now, in order to do that, the first thing you need to do is figure out what is 40% of 200. So off to the side, you're going to say, okay, 200 times 40%, that gives me 80. Okay? But this is what I'm decreasing by. I'm decreasing by 80. So I need to take 80 and subtract it from 200. So my new rate, I just write this over here, is now 120. Okay? Now 120 people are walking by you for the next 4 minutes of your life. So 120 times 4 gives you a total of 480. All right? Now, looking at your third phase, it says this rate decreases by 50%. Now, this rate refers to not the 200. Don't make that mistake. It refers to the 120. Now, the thing is, whenever something decreases by 50%, it's always halved. I mean, that's just another way of saying half. So you're taking half of 120, which gives you now 60. Now 60 people are walking by you. And if you read the rest of the problem, 60 people are walking by you in 3 minutes. So we just multiply 60 times 3, and that gives me 180. Now lastly, the last phase is this rate decreases by 20%. Now, again, 60, so I'm going to write it down here. 60 goes down by 20%. All right? So just like what we did over here, off to the side, I'm just going to say, okay, 60 times 0.20, that gives me 12. And then I'm going to take it and subtract it from 60, which gives me, let me clean this up a little bit, which gives me, I'm going to write this in green so it stands out, 48. So 48 people are walking by you for the next 2 minutes. And you do the math, that gives you 96. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to add up all my total. So how many people have passed by you? That is a grand total, 1,756 people. All right. Now, question number 8, same exact question, just different numbers. For the first 3 minutes, 400 people walk by you. So again, I just like to write the total over here. So the total for phase 1 is going to be 1,200. Okay. For phase 2, it says this rate decreases by 30%. Remember, 400 decreases by 30%. All right. So off to the side, I'm thinking to myself, okay, 400 is going down by 30%. Okay, so off to the side, I'm going to say, okay, let's see, 400 times 30%. I believe that's going to be 120. And then I'm going to subtract it from 40, which gives me a new rate of 280. All right, so 280 people are walking by me for 4 minutes. So that gives me 1,120. Now the next phase is that this rate decreases by 40%. So again, remember, 280 is decreasing by 40%. So, oh, hit the wrong button. All right. So, again, 280, I'm just writing my thoughts down, is decreasing by 40%. So 280 times 0.40. I'm going to get a number. I can't think of that number at the moment. 112. Then I'm going to subtract it from 280, which gives me my new rate of 168. So 168 for the next 3 minutes. That gives me 504. And then it says this rate decreases by 20%. So this right here, 20%, right there. So again, I'm thinking to myself, all right, so now 168 is going down by 20%. All right, so off to the side, I'm going to do 168. I'm going to times it by 20%. I'm going to get, ooh, I got a decimal. That stinks. All right, I'm going to round, it's 33.6, but I'm going to change that. I'm just going to round to the nearest whole, and we're just going to go ahead and write 34. No sense dealing with decimals at the moment. So 34, I'm going to take away from 168. And when I do that, I'll just write this in blue. I get a brand new rate of 134. So 134 times 2, which gives me 268 people. So when I add my total up, I add all that up, I'm going to get a total of 3,092 people. Alrighty, there we go. All right. Now this is a question that was on one of your worksheets, but I don't think we actually did it. All right, so what we have here is a setup to a, looks like a concert of some sort. A school play. All right, so a school play. So a school play, there's the stage. You have zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. This is another people over space situation. It's people over space. The only difference is rather than giving it to you in a word problem, I gave it to you in a diagram, or I'm sorry, a picture. So the first thing you need to do is find the area of each zone. So the area of each zone. So if you notice the area of zone 1, that's a 50 by 150. So 50 by 150. So the area is 750 square feet. All right, so that's the area. So that's the space. So the space is 750 square feet. We'll go ahead and do area 2 just because we're in the, just doing it right now. 70 times 150, so 70 times 150. So that has a square footage of 10,500. That's the area there. And lastly, the area for zone 3, that's a 60 by 150. 60 by 150. So that has an area of 9,000. Okay. Now, if you look over here, it gives you the predictions, and that is for zone 1, 1.5 square feet per person. Now remember, whenever you see per person, that's always 1, because it's 1 person, literally. So for zone 1, I'm going to do my work right here. I'm going to create a proportion. So it's 1 person for 1.5 square feet. 1 person for 1.5 square feet is equal to X over 7,500. All right. So when we do that, we're going to cross multiply and solve. And so when we do that, X ends up being 5,000. So 5,000 people will fit in area 1. So let me see if I can get some number right here. So area number 1 is going to be 5,000 people. That is a huge amount of people for an elementary school play. All right. So 5,000 people. Now for zone 2, you're going to do the exact same thing. For zone 2, I'm just right over here. Notice this standing room area, it's 5 square feet per person. Again, per person is 1. So 1 over 5 is equal to, I don't know how many people, over the area of that space, which is 10,500. Cross multiply and solve, and you end up with X being 2,100. So zone 2, 2,100 people. Now you do the exact same thing for zone 3, and I'm going to speed up a little bit. You're going to get 600 people. Okay? So when I add up all my people, I end up getting 7,700. Now you might be asking, where'd you get all that? Well, I just added all these people up right here. Added that part up. Now it says the school wants to have one teacher for every 50 attendees. How many teachers will be needed based on your prediction? So the school wants to have one, here we go, one teacher for every 50 attendees. So that's going to be one teacher over 50 attendees. So that is going to be a teacher over attendees situation. So one teacher over 50 is equal to, I don't know how many teachers over 7,700. Cross multiply, X is equal to 154 teachers. Question number 10, how tall is the tree? This is pretty straightforward. If you notice, we have the height of the tree. We have the shadow of the tree. All right, so this is a height and shadow thing. I'm just going to put height over shadow. So the height of the tree is unknown. The shadow of the tree is 2.9. I wonder if that's meters or something. I don't know. Is equal to the height of the post, which is 2.4, over the shadow of the post, which is 1.3. So we're going to cross multiply and solve. Just do this real quick. And I believe we're going to get a decimal, but since the decimals are the problem, we're just going to leave it. I'm just going to call this 5.4. So the height of the tree is 5.4, maybe meters, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't give us. All right. Last two questions, very similar, just these car questions here. We've done several of them now, so you should know what's going on. All right, so you are going to Savannah for spring break. You'll be driving your car, which is a Camry. Oh, okay, going to Savannah, Tampa. Oops, I guess that should have been changed. Oops, that's Savannah. All right, so we're using combined city highway MPG. Remember, that's 40. Remember, the MPG is always referred to, the 1 gallon. All right, so it's going to be, I always like to do gallons over miles. I think that's what I said in class. So 1 gallon for every 40 miles is equal to, I don't know how many gallons for 255 miles. So cross multiply and solve. That's going to give me, I believe I'm going to get a decimal here, which gives me, I'm just going to round to the nearest tenth, 6.4 gallons. Now, for question number 12, if the gas was 2.9 per gallon, how much would it cost you to drive Savannah? Now, there's two ways you can look at this. If you want to do it from a proportion standpoint, 239 per gallon. Remember, that's single 1. So 1 over 239, I just put gallons over money, is equal to 6.4 gallons over X. So cross multiply and solve. And you get $15.30. Now that's the way you could look at it from a proportion standpoint, but if you were like, you know what, I don't want to deal with the proportion. If gas was $2.39 a gallon, if I need 6.4 gallons, I'm just going to multiply those two. You could do that as well. All right, last one, same exact question, just different numbers. And I forgot to change everything. That should have been Myrtle Beach. Oops. All right, so now we're dealing with the Dodge Charger. Doesn't get as much. That's 21. So gallon over miles, 1 over 21 is equal to X over 353. Cross multiply and solve, you get, let's see, that's 16.8 gallons. And then lastly, if gas was $2.99 per gallon, I'm not even going to do a proportion. I'm saying, I'm just going to go, hey, I need that many gallons, and that's how much it costs per gallon. So I'm just going to multiply the two. 16.8 times 2.99. $50.23. All righty. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.